Remember when grave robbing was a television event?
And we will open the recovered safe and valise and discover what surprises they contain. So, stay with us.
Let's go back.
Tamagotchi,
Of Y2K.
The year is 1987, Mikhail Gorbachev is named Time Person of the Year, gas is 95 cents a gallon, and the Bengals are teaching everyone how to walk like an Egyptian. On October 28th, people gathered around the television to watch host Telly Savalas explore two safes recovered from the Titanic. For many people my age, we first came to learn about the Titanic disaster after watching James Cameron's 1997 film of the same name. Before he exclusively made fetish films featuring giant smurfs who had sex with their tails, or something like that. I've never actually seen it. You may think it's a bit weird to create a 2-hour television event around rummaging through people's things after a tragic event, and you wouldn't be alone. My first video on this channel was the live event opening of Al Capone's vault, which ended up resulting in Geraldo Rivera finding nothing in what was considered one of the biggest live television blunders of all time. Al Capone's vault was a product of Westgate Productions, produced by John Jocelyn and Doug Lewin, so surely they learned their lesson from the first time. Oh, well, never mind. Return to the Titanic live seemingly felt like a way to justify the recovery effort, with many people believing it was exploiting a tragedy. In an interview with Titanic survivor Eva Hart the same year, she summed up why this recovery effort has so many people opposing it.
I feel that that is the grave of those 1,513 people, one of my father. And it is a grave, and it should be left as a grave. It certainly shouldn't be plundered. And anyone who brings up anything from the Titanic and makes money out of it, in my opinion, is completely insensitive.
Before we watch Return to the Titanic live, I want to lead off with a quote from a review of this event by Ken Ringle of the Washington Post the day after its airing. He says, "Last night, in a bid to deflect worldwide criticism of the expedition as unseemly exploitation of a tragedy still within human memory, host Telly Savalas strutted through a rambling and at times confusing narration of the Titanic's lost voyage. While cameras focused repeatedly on machine gun-toting guards and a James Bond-style musical theme throbbed at commercial breaks, Savalas wisecracked his way through the remnants of a night where more than 1,500 died. Without further ado, let's watch Return to the Titanic live." The television event opens with shots of Paris with the sound of sirens echoing in the background before a police escort appears. Someone broke out a fog machine and we see boxes labeled Titanic and Top Secret. Give me a fucking break. Let's get to the actual show.
Mr. Telly Savalas.
He has some very pointy ears. He's giving off some strong Nosferatu vibes. Telly begins by explaining how big of a disaster the Titanic was and speaking like the teleprompter was written by a hack action novelist. Then the cameraman has a stroke.
Would be seen again.
Telly goes on to tell the audience that tonight we will be seeing Titanic artifacts, new evidence of why the Titanic sank, pretty sure it was just an iceberg, and with armed police officers and a panel of experts we will be opening not one, but 2 safes. If you're doing the math at home, 2 safes is better than 1 Al Capone vault. Like every good sequel, they're doubling the fun. There are 2 things I noticed about this special. One was that Telly Savalas loves saying unsinkable.
Most of all, people called her unsinkable. Unsinkable. An unsinkable ship, from unsinkable to unthinkable.
And 2, that he appears all over the stage in a matter of seconds like a goddamn ghost. He's here! He's there! He's every fucking where! Telly! Telly! Maybe he really is Nosferatu. Telly throws to a video package at the Downshire house where the Titanic was first conceived, followed by footage of it being built. The entire audience remains silent as if that makes it somehow more respectful of a show. This feels like a funeral where at the end they're going to open the casket and take all the jewelry off the deceased.
Titanic inspired many myths.
Then, in the first twist of the night, Telly stands next to a sarcophagus and suggests that maybe the Titanic sunk that fateful night because of an old Egyptian curse.
Involved the curse of the mummy case.
Let me sum up this conspiracy theory for you. There's this cursed mummy that anytime anyone went near her, they died. Journalists, photographers, scientists, you name it, they dropped like flies. Telly says that legend has it that mummy was in the cargo hold of the Titanic.
But a lot closer to mystery than history. Or is it?
I don't know, Telly, you tell me. The special continues to dive deeper into the history of the Titanic, which is about the only redeeming quality of this entire night. Telly talks about how J.P. Morgan nearly boarded the ship, the captain of the Titanic, and a survivor, Edith Hazeman, gives her first-hand account of what the inside of the ship looked like. All of this narration is exhausting, so Telly lights up a cigar.
Sponsored in part by Quaker Oatmeal. It's the right thing to do.
Well, if that isn't the perfect slogan for the night, I don't know what is. The next 20 minutes are dedicated to more history of the Titanic, and it's the only interesting stuff in the entire 2 hours. They discuss everything from when the Titanic left on its voyage, to hitting the iceberg, the sinking, and the reaction from the people back home at the time. Then, just as you feel a bit educated, Telly drops this bomb on all of us before a commercial break.
In a moment, we'll return to reveal for the first time new historical evidence which may provide the real reason that a Titanic sank.
What? You're telling me it wasn't an iceberg despite eyewitness accounts and scientific evidence? Maybe it fell off the edge of the flat Earth. When they return from commercial, Telly reveals the new evidence found. A new hole on the front of the ship was discovered that was seemingly blasted from the inside of the ship's mailroom. Damn you, cursed mummy! Oh, and you think that's all the proof they have? Well, you would be mistaken. Because they bring on a guy who tells everyone that the ship never actually hit an iceberg, but sunk because of a coal explosion. They said it was an iceberg to cover it up for insurance purposes. You're probably wondering, how does he even know all this? This isn't a joke, by the way, this is really what he says. He tells Telly that he heard this story from his father, who in turn heard it from an old card buddy of his. Boom, case closed. The funniest part about this claim, though, is they bring out an actual scientific expert, and even before the other guys left the stage, he says this.
Was the hole caused by the coal fire, do you think?
No, I don't think so.
For the next 30 minutes, we see footage of the recovery effort, meet the crew, and how the submarine works. I'll just go through some quick highlights, including Telly rocking these sick sunglasses. We see the crew, who seem to be huge fans of Devo. And at one point they talk about what they do to prevent the expedition ship from crashing, which might be the most ironic thing to ever happen if it did.
To prevent it crashing into anything.
The lead on the expedition says a few words regarding the controversy around the recovery.
It is controversial, but you have to be here to get a real sense of what's happening. These are men who are not pursuing treasure.
Oh, and I nearly forgot. The crew celebrates the first woman to go down in the submarine by smashing eggs over her head, covering her in what I can only assume is shit, and then promptly throwing her overboard.
One of the most extraordinary finds on the ocean floor was this assistant purser safe lying in the debris field. Not only one of the heaviest and most difficult to recover, it was also potentially one of the most valuable.
These are men who are not pursuing treasure.
After finding some plates on the ocean floor, we visit the shop that supplied the dinnerware called Stonier's, where they speculate what could have been on those dishes.
For cooking egg dishes in the main, I think, or spaghetti dishes.
And they say journalism's dying. After showing how they use electricity to breathe life into these artifacts they found, Telly announces that they will be finally looking inside the safes they recovered after this commercial break. But not before Telly speculates about a bell they found and then immediately takes it back.
The way I think, that could have been the bell that sounded the alarm for the crew and the passengers aboard the Titanic, but I doubt it. It's a little small.
By the way, there's only 15 minutes left in this 2-hour event, and we're only now just getting to the safes. These TV events are such teases. Before opening the safe, let's meet our panel of experts. Introducing your starting lineup. Coins expert, Sabine Borgny. Next up, currency expert and Vito Corleone impersonator, Yasha Burstneier. Rounding out our panel, jewelry experts, Veronica Marop and Max Pilgrim. And leading the grave robbing, Mr. Wilford Brimley.
Diabetes.
The first safe is open to reveal a bag. Now the bag is in a glass container filled halfway with water. Now I'm going to assume that this is for preservation purposes, and I really hope it wasn't left in the water for the show. Inside the bag are some banknotes, followed by awkward silence. By the way, everyone here are handling the items with gloves, but Telly just goes in and grabs everything with his bare fingers. To stop the awkward silence, Telly tries to lighten the mood.
That looks like something I lost last week.
You know,
Some coins, nice coins inside.
Oof, I'm sure you'll get them back. One thing that's mentioned over and over again is that many of these items have the initials RLB on them. They come back from commercials to say that they looked at the passenger list and found a Richard Leonard Beckwith. That's all they have to say though, so I decided to look him up, and it turns out Mr. Beckwith actually survived the night of the sinking. He later died in 1933 after battling an illness. That makes it a possibility that he had living family by the night this aired. Just saying. Now here's the best part about the second safe. The second safe was obviously damaged over the years, so to make it more visually appealing, they actually put the safe inside of another safe. I couldn't stop laughing at the sight of a safe being opened to reveal an even tinier safe inside. It's like a whole Russian doll situation going on. You're never gonna believe what they find in the second safe.
Looks like a bunch of coins, huh?
Yeah.
So you're telling me that they claim to be opening these safes for the very first time, live in front of the world, and they find currency, jewelry, and coins, and they just so happen to have a panel made up of experts in just those things? I'm on to you, Telly. Sounds like you've been tellying some lies.
It is the intention and the promise of our expedition to display them with dignity. If you get to a hair clipper, you know it's not mine. With dignity.
Telly quickly rambles his way through the closing remarks, and the special ends as they run out of time. Really good time management by the director. Well, there you have it. Return to the Titanic live. I can't believe I sat through the entirety of it. This television special was actually less interesting than the opening of Al Capone's vault. They may not have found anything in the vault, but the special had a lot of interesting information, and they did find secret passageways that were interesting to see. Return to the Titanic live, on the other hand, made me feel dumber after watching it. All the interesting information about Titanic's history, but I feel like you could probably get that information from a much better source, like a documentary or a book. The entire special reeked of Hollywood slime and only sunk lower by offering multiple conspiracy theories with no real proof of their claims. Maybe the special was ahead of its time in that way. The real MVP of the night was the chair that Telly stumbled over. That's all I have to say, so if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I tried my best to get back to all the comments left and appreciate any and all feedback. I hope everyone had a happy new year, and I look forward to a more hopeful 2023. Goodbye, everyone.
Good luck, little cherub.